boyfriend, baby.
Smoke 'em if you got 'em. Excelsior, horror fiends. It's your boy, Ricky Grimes. I got my homeboy, Joe the psychologist, back with me. How's it going, my brother?
I am doing good. You know what? Back to back DC.
DC Comics expert. And this was your choice. And I
Yep.
gotta admit, when you recommended Spawn before, I was like, oh man, really? But after reviewing that, I was like, cool. I haven't seen that in such a long time. It was good to go back. And Constantine falls in that same category. And I gotta say, before we even start, I really enjoyed it now more than when I
Never.
first saw it. So
Agreed.
John Constantine made his first printed appearance in Swamp Thing issue 37 back in June of '85. Musical artist Sting would be the visual model used for developing the iconic appearance of John Constantine. The character was created by Alan Moore, Steve Bissett, and John Totleben. Constantine, a modern-day warlock and detective of the occult, branched out of the American Gothic storyline from Swamp Thing into his own series in 1988. The Hellblazer comic would go on to be the longest-running series out of the DC Comics Vertigo line. Known for his sharp wit, constant chain-smoking, Constantine can be as relentless as he has to be to rid the world of dark evils and to just simply live his best life as a good human being. An expert user of various forms of magic, Constantine is also a master con artist and a brilliant detective, earning a rabid fan base among the readers. It wouldn't be long until Constantine will make his long-awaited feature film and television debut respectively. Constantine was released in 2005, directed by Francis Lawrence. The film is written by Jamie Delano and Kevin Broadbent. The film stars Keanu Reeves as John Constantine, Rachel Weisz as Angela Dodson, Jamon Hensue as Midnight, Shia LaBeouf as Chaz Kramer, and Tilda Swinton as Gabriel.
You just have to repent.
Supernatural exorcist and demonologist John Constantine helps a policewoman prove her sister's death was not a suicide but something more. Alright, my brother, let's talk John Constantine. Now, I gotta say, I remember very vaguely, but I do remember all the comic nerds just going apeshit crazy because they replaced their blonde-haired, blue-eyed British bad boy with Keanu Reeves, a dark-haired American who didn't even attempt at an accent, mind you.
Nah.
He wasn't supposed to be British in this film anyway, but there was a lot of hate. And it was just like, oh, they messed it up already. Of course, they're not going to follow the comics. And that bled towards, my viewing experience because I'm watching it and I just saw like, CGI. Mind you, it's not bad in this film, but I just saw like an overabundance of that. And I wasn't really familiar with the backstory of all the characters, the protagonist, antagonist, and all that. But revisiting now, man, I enjoyed it a lot. And coming in with an open mind. So let's talk John Constantine. Let's give me the 411 on Mr. Constantine, Joe the psychologist.
Constantine was introduced in the comics in issue 37 of Swamp Thing. That came out in 1985. People liked his character. Then in 1988, he got his own series, Hellblazer. Later, he went on to go into the Vertigo line where he crossed paths with Sandman, The Dream, Death, Lucifer. So he was put in the basically the supernatural, the witchcraft universe, which was really fitting for him. And I gotta admit, I did not for those years. I saw him in issues, but I didn't collect anything. However, prior to the New 52, his character was being reintroduced again. Then come the New 52, he became pretty much a founding member of Justice League Dark. Guillermo del Toro, please, please, please do the movie. So it brought him back to the forefront. Not just that, Matt Ryan portrayed him in the TV series, played him blonde, British accent. So he kept to the character. He did a really, really good job. But the series was canceled. Stephen Amell had the power at that time with the Arrowverse, and they brought the character from NBC into the Arrowverse, where he still became popular and became a member. I think I want to say is the last 2 seasons of the Legends of Tomorrow. Honestly, I'm a fan of Constantine. I collected Justice League Dark. I've got one of his solo series, and I was over it. it wasn't bothering me to have Keanu play him, no accent, dark hair. Honestly, he added more of the gloominess and the darkness
Yeah.
that's actually that Constantine has inside of him. Grant Morrison was trying to get Constantine to become part of the Doom Patrol for his run. Because of the rights, he couldn't get him. And he
Right.
created the
Yes.
character of Willoughby, similar to Constantine. And in the comic books, they actually introduced the characters. There was a little joke in between them. So if he would have had the rights,
Who's
Constantine
got
would
the
have
rights to
appeared.
Constantine? Is Vertigo?
I think it was Vertigo at the time.
Wow, didn't know that.
But
Interesting.
so yeah, so we could have had Constantine in the Doom Patrol,
That would have
and
been
he would have
interesting.
been great with the
Yeah,
team.
he would
I
fit like
mean,
a glove.
oh my god, and you can tell why he picked them. And Constantine, this was not plagued with bad source material. Some things could have been done a little bit better, but 2005, I was all here for Keanu Reeves as Constantine, to be honest with you.
So would you say they did a good job portraying not only John Constantine as a character, but they did a good job portraying the actual source material into a feature film?
So for that one, yes. The only thing that I felt I wanted more was that Constantine knows magic. Like he uses it a lot.
They
And
delve very little into that.
they did very little. So one of my little knocks on it, unfortunately, again, he can just do spells, pull things out of him. He's a con man, which you got, but his spell work. But they didn't use the magic that you would see him doing in the comics. He is up there on his mastery of magic with Zatanna.
Oh wait. Oh,
There she
oh,
is.
oh.
But anyway, so Constantine, he's been a driving force as of late, in the comics. Even with the animated series, when they had done the trilogy towards the end of ending that part of the universe, it was him that basically helped defeat Darkseid and reboot the universe. So that is how strong he is. So the lack of magic is honestly like one critique that I have on Constantine.
Awesome, by the way. His tattoos connect
Yeah.
in the film. Is that in the comics too, bro?
And I don't honestly, I was gonna look at my comics. I'm like, do I remember that being in there? Because
That's pretty
again,
badass. That's
he
pretty
wouldn't
badass.
need like for in the comics, he wouldn't have need to do that. He would have just said a spell
Yeah.
or had some type of token or something with him to be able to do that.
That's probably for film media that
Yeah.
it's a visual aid for casual audiences to see and to get connected more into his power. I'm
It
assuming
was cool.
it
I
was
love
cool.
that scene.
I loved it too.
That's how he brought forth, an angel.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
and that again shows his power that he can, bring forth an angel.
Speaking of angels, let's talk about angels and demons, but we're going to talk about the big bad himself. Every angel has his adversary. They have their antagonist, Lucifer's son. Now, let's talk about this character here. How do you say Mammon, was it in this film?
Mammon.
Mammon. I gotta say, I got a kick out of Lucifer himself coming
I did
into the
too.
story when Constantine slit his wrist. Also, it
Pe-
was
Peter Stormare.
yeah, oh, man,
Peter
he
Stormare.
was
Dude, he was
awesome.
yes.
He was great, and the fact that he's there to grab his son, and I like the way they portray the demons, where you don't really see them, but when they show like a reflection or something,
Reflection.
that was cool. That was
Yeah.
cool. So yeah,
I like them doing that.
let's talk about Lucifer's son, man. This is the Antichrist himself, son. What's good?
Well, I mean, so for this, what basically he got tired of being behind his daddy. So he wanted to take over. So for him to come to Earth, three things were needed: the spear of destiny, which we're Catholic. You should know that. She mentions it in the movie. A psychic and divine assistance. That brings basically another more grounding of the movie because it's keeping again to the original roots of good and bad, with evil, which is the devil, and God. So, and even with that, the which we'll discuss later, but you have the half breeds, the demons and angels. But the plan, I thought it was great because it didn't involve your antagonist searching for the spear. Some random guy finds it.
When the vehicle like just runs right into
Oh
him. He
man.
destroys it and just gets back up because of the spear. Gives him like immortality powers.
But I like that as I watched it
Yeah,
because we weren't watching a movie about the bad guy trying to get his
it
hands
makes
on
sense.
this.
It makes sense. It was in Mexico, so Hispanic heritage and culture it dives into like religious aspects of
Yes.
things. So
I mean,
that
and you
was a
see the old
perfect.
churches that are built down there. So that was probably, if anything, buried under an old church that was no longer there. And Gabriel basically turning her back. But, from my thoughts, is that she was either going to be first in charge or ruling with him, with Mammon. So I like the lore that it followed. I like that it took its time to reach, once they kind of thought they were done, that Gabriel used her powers to suck Angela through all those buildings. But what was great is that like she had her obviously enclosed in something because she wasn't getting injured the whole time.
You're right. Yeah,
Even though she's flying through a lot of walls, I thought that yes, for a CGI heavy movie, that was kind of one of the cool special effect ones here. Like I'm glad they spent just a little more money on that because it did look cool. Seeing that Lucifer pop up, and as you said, Peter did a great job with him. It was like Lucifer was just a little wacky
I
dude,
love the dialogue between Lucifer and Constantine, especially when he
Yeah.
told when Constantine tried to light his cigarette, he couldn't. He said, "Oh, you cut too deep, man. You cut your tendons, your hands, your fingers don't work anymore like they used to."
And he
You're
said
just
it
fucking with him,
he
bro.
said it right. He said it in a way like he was so happy of the hard time that he was having.
Yeah, yeah.
And just to be even more
Even,
douchey, I'm gonna explain to you why you're having.
even lighting it for. I got you. But he still fucked with him.
Yeah. Oh, he
Constantine's
did a
like,
great job.
really?
Constantine, his soul was going to hell because he committed suicide
Yep.
and came back. And when Gabriel said, because you killed an innocent, so in the version that I read, where especially with the new 52, it was a young girl, Gemma, that he killed and she was actually an innocent, and that's what he was damned for. Either way, somebody else's soul or his whole mission had been to send back all of these people who have turned against either the good or the bad so he can get into heaven. He's about to lose, Mammon is about to rise. He looks up to God, who doesn't answer him. And then he's like, all right. So then, basically commits suicide again in order to get or Lucifer to show up.
Lucifer himself. He could call him
And
Lou.
he even said it. He goes, you're the one soul I was coming up here to collect.
Personally.
Oh yeah, like he had been waiting for this.
And I liked how they kept like Earth, like life, is just nothing, right? It's all about heaven and hell, and your life is just what you do in the meantime, and whatever you do in your life depicts if you go to heaven or hell.
Yep,
That's when your life really starts. You know what I'm saying? So I like that concept. That was pretty interesting because they kept
I
it
did.
simple. Again, when you market a movie like this, I guarantee you they didn't. This 2005. It's not like now where we got the MCU, we got James Gunn spearheading DC. This was a time where, all right, we got to make this as dummy proof as possible for the casual audience because they didn't have the comic book audience they got now.
No,
Now they could
no.
do whatever and whatever. But then it's a lot different. So they were kind of careful with it. And I think they struck a pretty good balance in my opinion.
What I had liked was when he was there to collect the soul, and Constantine tells him his son's plan,
Oh,
and
I love that.
Lou didn't. He's like, "Yeah, this is probably just another one of your cons."
Yeah.
He's like, "Yeah, you can stop time. I mean, you can go in there. What do you tell him? 10 seconds, 30 seconds, and find out for yourself."
Yeah. He's like 20 seconds. Yeah.
Yeah, and then he walk. The glass all
That
shatters.
was an awesome scene though.
The
When
I,
Lucifer
it
walks
was
and the glass is coming towards him, he doesn't even flinch, bro.
nothing, and it's all heading to Gabriel also, but it's just frozen,
Yeah.
and he's just walking through it. I love just showing because again, you got to see some type of magic, but you were seeing more of celestial, God magic as opposed to magic. It was awesome, like him grabbing Angela, pulling her out of the way, and then Gabriel, stabbing the sword into the ground. For him to grab Angela, basically his son, to send him back down. I thought it
I
didn't
like
need to
that.
go. It didn't need to go into a fist fight.
Bro, I'm sorry to cut you off, but the way they depicted hell, right? When he sent them to hell, it wasn't like some crazy. It wasn't the floor broke and like fire burst out and all this crazy lava and hell spawns. No, it was almost like a mirror reflection.
Yeah.
I like how that was depicted, man. That was pretty unique. I've
All
never seen
red,
that before, bro.
giving you the the lava and the fire. Everything was almost a red
Yep.
with winds, very strong winds,
Yeah.
and
I love
then
how
those.
subtle they took that. I like that
Yeah,
so much.
because we're talking 2005. I mean, this movie
Yeah.
next year is going to be 20 years old.
And the CGI, even for then, I gotta say, it,
It's still, some of it holds up still. I'm good.
yeah.
Actually, you know what? I'm gonna say at least 80% of the CGI in this movie holds up. And
Thank
some
you.
of the key
It
moments, they
holds up, yes,
yes,
because it's not like it's gonna blow you away, but
no,
the one credit and I give it, and I always say this when it comes to CGI, especially for older films, it does not distract at
no,
all.
no,
That's perfect.
no. Gabriel was basically your other antagonist in here. And so what Constantine was battling were half demons and half angels.
Speaking
And you
of
have
Gabriel, styling and profiling, how cool was Gabriel? A
I
visual,
even loved the
yes,
hospital things. I
yes, all
thought
the
that was
hospital bands. How
yeah,
cool was that?
I'm like, oh, that's not leather bands. That's like
No.
hospital bands. That's fucking ingenious.
Yes, I didn't notice that till the end when she grabbed Constantine. I was like, are those hospital bands?
Yeah. I
Cool.
thought that was great. Hello,
Well,
Bush frontman Gavin Rosdale
who did
playing
he play?
Balthazar. Balthazar.
He was Bob.
He was Balthazar. See, you didn't even recognize the
No,
Bush frontman.
it's funny
He,
because when I didn't realize until the credits, I was like, the lead singer from Bush was in this movie? What the
yes.
fuck?
And I didn't look it up to see, but I think this was one of his like first role. I know he's done a couple of movies.
Yeah, he's
I
been in other
think this
films,
was
yeah.
kind of one of his first
Yeah.
ones, but he was great as Balthazar. Now, while I just said we didn't need to see a big fight when it came to father and son, you got the fight between Balthazar and Constantine. This is where I would have liked to seen a little bit of the magic,
Yeah.
because they relied on being on the little
Mhm.
physical and the strengths that they had. So I would have liked to seen a little bit more of the supernatural type of battle. I'm still okay with it. Fine how it ended, especially when we fucking got all burst up. And even then, when he's all cracked in his one side of the face and he's talking to Gabriel, he was like, all right, resurrect me. Wait, what? And the wind just blows him all
Oh,
away.
so great.
I mean,
Imagine
how
that, just knowing, wait a minute, you're getting fucked. And that's it. Like, just
you're literally,
Mm.
it is the slowest word, like you're being blown in the wind. You're falling apart. Like I thought that was great. Gabriel, I would have liked to seen I would have liked to see her been a little bit more of a match on Lucifer instead of it being as kind of quick as it
Yeah,
was.
yeah.
That's my second
But
knock
that
on
is
it.
Lucifer. You gotta he has to
It
be, like,
is.
intimidating, and he's gotta be powerful, because he's the big I mean, you don't get no bigger and badder than Lucifer, you know?
You don't, but I would have liked to seen, because again, she's been the one that's been behind the whole entire thing.
Yeah.
I liked the angels, the half angels, half demons. I didn't think it was corny with, that you can tell them apart by the red or the white in
The
the
eyes.
eye.
Do you was that were those characters in the comics as well, the half breeds?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because again, for the a majority of the Vertigo stuff had a lot of a religious undertone to it.
Yeah.
So that's why again John was, because all along, remember that his battle is for his soul.
Yeah.
So in order to do to get his
He's
soul,
condemned to
to go
hell.
into
Yeah.
heaven, yeah. For him to get to heaven, he's battling against the devil and his forces.
And Gabriel pretty much told him, you can't get into heaven because of one good deed for selfish reasons, because he was dying. So
And then what did she got close and whispered, "You're fucked."
you're fucked. How awesome was Tilda Swinton in this
She
fucking
was great.
film? She was great.
She
That's
was
the
great.
ancient one, you know? Like, come on.
I know. Well, and that's what I love about her. She's a good
Mm.
character actor.
I could
She
just
can
hear her
morph into
monologue
roles.
all day long, all day, all night. She has that cadence and that voice that it's something about the way she commands presence just by speaking, and that's why she excels in roles like this.
Snowpiercer.
Oh my, that movie was excellent.
Her androgyny I felt was a little bit, because I thought I read this, that the character is a little bit a throwback to David Bowie,
Okay.
which you can see,
Ooh, good
which you can
shout.
see. So
Yes.
because David also did that, and Tilda, if you watched, especially right to the last battle, like when she wore her
The
the top that she
clothing,
wore
the clothing,
was
the
restrained.
hair, everything. Yes.
Yeah, it was restrained. So she was
Yes.
very androgynous. And again,
That's what I
but when
liked
you got
about that
the
character
close
so
up her
much.
face, it was still the femininity going, "I'm gonna fuck you up."
Even Father Hennessy, Taylor Pruitt Vince, Walking Dead alumni, when he shows up, I'm like, okay, whenever he shows up, immediately smile on my face. He's one of those actors, So, and you mentioned Gavin Rossdale. That completely went over my head. And Midnight, that's another actor which I didn't realize until after I saw the movie and saw the credits. I'm like, get the
Yeah.
fuck out.
And
So
Shia did great in
yeah,
this.
oh yeah, I don't
I
have a
like this
problem with him. No,
character.
I
I
listen.
don't have a problem with
He
him
gets a
either.
bad rap. I don't have an issue with.
I don't have an issue with
No, it's because
some
of
of his movies aren't
Transformers.
good.
That's why. Let's be real.
Well,
Because he
yeah.
plays
No,
his
I liked him in
Transformers character. No,
Transformers.
no, I'm saying I liked him. I did. But what I mean is, he played it in what 3 movies. He always played the neurotic. I don't know. He was just a little
Yeah,
overbearing for certain people. But I think watch the movie Fury, bro. Excellent performance in that fucking film, bro. So he's a good actor. And
he is a
there
good
was a
actor.
time when he was linked to Moon Knight.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah.
Yeah,
So
you
he's
know what?
Jewish. So
He might have been good for that role, to be honest with you.
and I didn't have a problem with it because
No,
I
I did.
know deep down he's a good actor. Did you catch the after the credits in this film? After credit scene?
There's an after credit scene. Damn it!
Bro, brother, no
I didn't know they
tongue.
were throwing him in there back then.
Yes,
I'm
yes,
gonna have to
bro.
watch it.
Constantine goes to visit his gravesite, and after he walks away, behind him, his spirit comes up as an angel now, wings and all.
Damn it! Another little thing, because he also is part of representation, because his character goes
I
both
was gonna
ways.
bring that up. So his character is bisexual in the
His
book.
guys, yes,
I know that, but they
and
did not
so
portray that here,
they
right?
did not. They did
Okay,
not.
I didn't.
And like in the comics itself, like his first true love was a guy. But he's had many loves, but they gave him that background. So it's great to see
Yeah,
a fucking kick ass. Again, he's bisexual, but they didn't put it in here. I'm okay with it, because not every movie has to have every single element of the
you don't
person,
have to
the
have it in there
character.
if it doesn't
Eh,
affect the
If it's
story.
not, yes. Now, if it would have been because they were going after his partner, then that's necessary. But just to throw it in there, I'm okay.
Yeah,
It didn't need to be done. And when they actually had done it through the series, it was so done, like, so much after,
yeah.
that you were already invested in the character, that when it was put in there, it's like nothing. And then again, you got to think the guy's been living for a long, long time. So he probably got bored and started experimenting with everything along the way. And I swear, if I remember it right, in the series, he's hinted that he's even slept with non-humans. So I mean, the guy has no problem with
Hey,
sleeping with
Lando
whatever.
Calrissian, he slept with all types of people, even robots. So hey,
So
man.
there you go.
Closing thoughts now. Joe the psychologist, why don't you give us once again our score table so the viewers can see how we rate these comic book horror show features.
Epsilon, Beta, Alpha, Omega.
I'm gonna give it a 3. My critiques were some of the stuff that I mentioned before. We've been on our three corners, have been revisiting movies that are older, and we discussed whether or not they've held up or not. This movie still holds up. There's rumors that in 2022 that they move forward with a sequel to it. In the sequel, I mean, here's the thing. I like Peter. Um, if they do the sequel, just because, I mean, it is Lucifer. He doesn't have to always look the same. I would love to see Tom Ellis's Lucifer be the Lucifer that appears in the sequel. Constantine has also crossed paths with Sandman. Sandman is a Netflix series, and in the Netflix series, Gwendolyn Christie plays Lucifer. So you do have different versions, but again, because it's Lucifer, he can basically take any
Yeah,
form. So if we do have a sequel to this, guys, please don't dye Keanu's hair blonde just for the fandom, because
they won't. No.
I would feel that it's just going to be it's a forced, it's a
Yeah.
pandering. keep the character, because what I did like about him, and when I did my comparisons last night as I'm watching it, when you have him the blonde, um, the comedy comes off a little bit more comedy with the blonde guy, Matt Ryan, who played him. The comedy of Keanu, because he played the character a little more stoic,
Dry
and
too,
his
yeah.
look, it was, the dark hair is fitting for his way that he's playing
He was
Constantine,
more brooding.
more brooding. And again, there is the multiverse, so we can have two different ones. Go back to Garth Ennis, because he was a great source material for this one. So just go and find people who have written actual good stories
Yeah.
and take that one and have
Fans. You
that
need
person
fans.
be. You need the fans, but you need the writer
What?
that
Yes.
to don't go. Yes, but
Well, not just that. What I mean is, James Gunn excels at taking the most D-list character and propelling them into the mainstream like no other. And that's because he read the books. He knows the characters. He understands the characters. He knows what makes them
yes.
work and what doesn't.
So
That's what I mean.
I want that for the sequel. Magic. Just give me
Yeah.
more
Yeah.
magic. Give us magic.
I'm gonna go with an alpha as well. It's a 3. I think this film, because, like I mentioned, I kind of back when it first came out, I wasn't the biggest Constantine fan, and I don't mean it in a disparaging way. I just never followed the character, and I had no connection to the character, so I just didn't really. I'll watch it. But at the time, Keanu wasn't as he is now. We had the Matrix, but still, Neo wasn't. Neo, in my opinion, didn't make those films. It's the films as a whole. Now,
Yeah.
John Wick, for example, Keanu makes those films. He's fucking awesome, and he just became people over time got to understand how much of an awesome human being Keanu Reeves is. So the love is. I think if he comes back now as Constantine, I think he'll be more accepted, obviously, and I think it's time to bring it back. And
Yeah.
I want to
He
mention.
will.
I want to mention some of like the dialogue in this film too. Like one of my favorite scenes in this movie was when he's on the table smoking a cig, and that spider comes along and he traps it in the glass. He lifts up the glass, takes a drag of the cig, and he blows it into the glass, shuts it. And he's like, "Welcome to my life." Even when I first saw it, I remember I was like, that's a fantastic line. And
Yeah.
another great line that oh my God, when you mentioned Gabriel, she became human, right? And he punches her, and she's like, he's like, that's called pain. Get
I
used to
love
it.
that one.
Oh my God, what a burn, son. I think the title sequence at the beginning with the DC, Vertigo, all the logos, very reminiscent of comic books. And I love the cool approach to the cinematography that was taken in this movie. Whether it was like an overhead shot of, Constantine walking into a building, or the fact that he's framed in the background with the burning cigarette just burning in the foreground to kind of, that's his life just dwindling away slowly. Just those parallels and the way it was shot, that this movie is full of cool imagery like that. Like I said, the CGI is there, but it's used in a way where it's not like overly abundant, that's all in your face. It's used at the appropriate times, and a film like this requires a lot of CGI. And I think the fact that you mentioned you wanted more magic, I think that's kind of probably why they stayed away from it, like you mentioned.
Probably.
The budget for one, and they didn't want to test their luck. Okay, we got away with these things. Like the guy, like Constantine fought this guy made of fucking, what was it, bugs and crabs and shit like that.
When he created his gun with those bullets,
Yeah.
and he walked in, Chaz came up with the idea of turning the fire extinguishing system into holy water.
That was cool.
Dude, and he's sitting there just blowing them away. I will say, I'd be like a little blade,
Yeah.
but it wasn't a knife. It's a fucking gun that's in the shape of a cross, shooting these blessed golden bullets that are obliterating them.
But yeah, I thank you, brother, once again. Another movie that you revitalized in my memory, because again, I saw it the first time and I was like, it's just, I don't connect with the character. But now I'm more open minded, and like this fucking movie's cool as hell. And if I ever get a chance, I would love to see it again. Good shit, brother.
All right.
Anything else?
No, I'm good, bro.
That's gonna do it once again for another issue of the Comic Book Horror Show. Give us that sub and like, we really do appreciate it. And viewers, if you have any suggestion for a volume 3, Drop them in that comment section. We want to hear from you. And with that being said, I'm Ricky Grimes.
And we are out.